Alright guys, welcome back to another build video, and today I have a PvE Stamina Nightblade. Um, this build is really consistent with everything going off. It is proc sets. So, and again, this is non-trial, non-VMA, non-Dragon Star Arena, nothing that you get out of trials build. Alright, so my character sheet, I'm setting at 9,550 max magicka, 18.3 maximum health, 31.2 max stamina, and stamina recovery 853. Weapon damage 2.9, and weapon crit 51.8%. And I'm setting at 12.3 on both spell and physical resistance. I have 10 points into health and 54 into stamina. The reason why I do that is because I like to stay, when I'm in trials, around 20k on a Stamina Nightblade, because they just don't have the shields that the other classes have. I'm running max health, max stam food. I'm a stage 4 vampire, and the boon I'm running is the warrior. Alright, now gear wise, I'm running Unfathomable Darkness, which is a new set that drops out of Clockwork City, and it adds weapon crit, physical penetration, 124 weapon damage, and when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to call a murder of crows around you for 12 seconds. Every 3 seconds, a crow will be sent to peck the closest enemy within 12 meters of you, dealing 4.3 physical damage. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. So basically what this is going to do is that when you deal damage, it will go off, and then every 3 seconds. So basically it's going to shoot out about 4 crows. That's going to deal roughly around 4,000 damage. So, 4 crows at 4, that's 16k. So it's going to deal about 16k damage. Give or take on the physical penetration that you have. The second set is Red Mountain. What the Red Mountain does is add its weapon damage, max stam, weapon crit, and when you deal damage with a weapon build, you have a 10% chance to spawn a volcano that erupts after 1 second, launching liquid hot magma at the closest enemy, dealing 8.4 flame damage. This effect can occur once every 2 seconds. Alright, so with these two sets, there's constant proc. Now, the monster set that I'm running is Cellatrix. It's not a really big set that a lot of people use, but I love it on a Stamina Nightblade because of the 2-piece. The 1-piece, it adds max stamina, and the 2-piece, when you deal damage, you have a 10% chance to create an earthquake under the enemy that erupts after 1.5 seconds, dealing 5.4 physical damage to all enemies within 4 meters and stunning them for 3 seconds. This effect can occur once every 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds. Basically, what it is that, or how you do it, is that because Stamina Nightblades don't really have that heal capability outside of Vigor, unless they're two-handers, then they have momentum. So that stun that it gives, I've stunned monsters in trials with it. I've stunned, none of the really big things like the main bosses in dungeons and overland bosses, but bosses in delves and things like that, it stuns them all. It stuns ghosts, it stuns netches, it stuns everything. So I like it. I'm running heavy on the head, and the reason being, heavy reinforces, because I like to have some resistances. Max Stam Glyph, chest piece Unfathomable Divines. Now you can run this infused for more stamina if you wanted to. I'm running a heavy Cellatrix shoulder infused with max health. Could put stamina here, but then I would be under the 18k mark. I want to be over the 18k mark. So, and then I run a belt of the Red Mountain Divines, Unfathomable Darkness Hands Divines, again Unfathomable Legs Divines, and Boots on Divines. And then my jewelry is Red Mountain, all enchanted with a weapon damage glyph. Now you could put stam recovery here if you want a little more stam. It wouldn't make that huge of a difference. Now you can on the big pieces run infused. I just didn't have infused. The reason why you run 1-piece Red Mountain on the body and is so that way when you switch to your bow bar, you keep the 5-piece. You keep your 5-piece Red Mountain on, because you want this going constantly, because you're going to do endless hell, you're going to do poison injection, when you drop your rearming trap and whatever else you have on their back bar, you're gonna, it's going to keep proccing Red Mountain. To where if you just have it on your dual bar, then once you switch to your bow bar, there's going to be seconds there where you're not proccing Red Mountain. Fathomable Darkness, once it procs, that's it. You can switch bars and it's still there and it's still going to shoot off. So, I mean, it's the reason why you make sure you keep the 5 red mount on the back bar. Skill wise, I run on my dual bar, Deadly Cloak. This is just, it helps, it does physical damage to all the nearby enemies, and it also reduces the area effect damage you take by 25%. Killer's Blade, which is your execute. It can do a lot of damage. I've gotten this thing up to roughly 27, 28k. Relentless Focus. Basically, when you activate this is one of your major buffs. It gives you minor berserk and minor endurance, increasing your damage by 8% and stamina recovery by 10% for 20 seconds. While active, hitting an enemy with 5 light or heavy attacks changes the ability to Assassin's Scourge, allowing you to fire a single shot from a spectral bow at an enemy to deal 13,000 disease damage. This hits really hard when it crits. And then Surprise Attack, which is your main spammable. You slash an enemy, dealing 7.2 physical damage and inflicting them with Major Fracture, which reduces their physical resistance by 5.2 for 17.3 seconds. So, right now, that second part, attacking with a surprise attack while sneaking or invisible, stuns enemy and sets them off balance, that is bugged. So, I don't know what's going on there. They really need to fix that. Then you have Raining Slashes, which basically the initial hit deals 2,000 physical damage with each weapon and causes them to bleed for an additional 8.6 physical damage over 9 seconds. Alright, and then my ultimate is Flawless Dawnbreaker. Now you can put Incapacitating Strike here, which is more for Deathstroke. What that does is that it does, I think the tooltip is roughly around 13k, and it's going to deal disease damage, but it also allows you, your enemy takes 20% more damage for 6 seconds. So it's just, what do you like, basically. Alright, my back bar, which is my bow, I run Rearming Trap. If you set it down, it does some physical damage, and does physical damage over 6 seconds. Stops them, but what you really want this for is the minor force. It increases your critical damage done by 10%. It's amazing. Leeching Strikes here is your sustain. Me not being a red guard, and even if I was a red guard, I still would recommend running this. Basically, every light and heavy attack is going to restore my health, 1.4k health, and restore 106 stamina for 20 seconds. And with you using Relentless Focus, you should always, in between every attack, be throwing a light attack or a heavy attack, because you want this to continue to proc and continue to go, because you want that extra damage, and it's an instant cast when you hit them with that bow. So Leeching Strikes is good to have, and then plus when it ends, you restore 4.2 additional stamina when the effect ends based on length of time Leeching Strike is active. This is more of a flex spot, but I highly recommend running around with it. Bone Surge, it's a Morphin Bone Shield. It is the only shield that a Stamina Nightblade can actually obtain. So I really recommend running this. For trials, for dungeons, doesn't matter. Nightblades don't have the healing capacity. They need a shield, and you should always run around with Bone Surge. I mean, you can replace it. You can put Surprise Attack. You can move Surprise Attack here, because it doesn't have to be on your dual bar in order to use it. And you can put Flurry there, or Blood Ridding, whatever you want to use as. Poison Injection, Endless Hell, self-explanatory. This does poison damage, direct 3.9 on the initial hit, 7.5 over 10 seconds, and then it deals 260% more damage to enemies under 50% health. Endless Hell, dealing 1,000 physical damage to enemies in the target area every 0.5 seconds for 10 seconds. Huge DPS. You always need to keep this down. And Toxic Barrage. Unleash a barrage of arrows at an enemy, dealing 40,000 poison damage over 4.1 seconds. After the barrage ends, you poison an enemy, dealing an additional 25,000 poison damage over 8 seconds. You can move with full speed while channeling this attack. There's the Ballista one, the other morph of this. What it is, you just lay down. I think it shoots out. I think it's like 33,000 physical damage. But laying that down, you can continue to throw up your other kits. You can Endless Hell, Poison Arrow, whatever. But with this one, you can't leave the attack. If you leave the attack, it stops. You won't deal all the damage. So what I like to do is I like to run in. I'll buff up. I'll hit my Relentless Focus, Leeching Strike, and then shoot Toxic Barrage. 40k quickly with 25k poison damage over 8 seconds. I mean, it's just really quick, at least 55k damage after resistances and stuff like that. And that is the skills. Champion points, again, I'm not max champion. I'm 314. Uh, I have 95 in Lover, 45 in Tenacity, 50 in the Mooncalf. I have 10 into Tumbling, reduce the cost of roll dodge. Uh, I have 5 in the Master Arms at the moment. I have 31 in Precise Strikes, 27 into Piercing, and 41 into Mighty. I have 43 Hardy, 43 Elemental Defender, and 19 Quick Recovery. Again, the reason being is I want that extra 5%, or, if you put it at 18, then it's like 4.88 or 4.98, something like that. I want the 5%, so I went ahead and put in the other point there for healing received. Because again, we don't have the survivability that the other classes have on a Stamina Nightblade. I am a Khajiit, by the way, if you haven't noticed. So my passes, I do get that extra critical. It's the reason why I run one sword and one axe. If I was a Red Guard or an Imperial, I would probably run an axe and a dagger for that crit. But because I'm already over 50%, I run a sword for that extra 2.5 damage for having a sword on. Outside of that, that is really it. I will show you. Let me go ahead and show you what the outfit actually looks like. I mean, I really love the Ebon style. It's called Ebony Shadow, and so I mean, it just goes together really well. So, I mean, that's the motif style for this outfit, if you're wondering. But let me show you how easy it is to proc this stuff. Okay, so I'm just going to cast Deadly Cloak and Endless Hell. Crows proc, there's Cellatrix, the ground shaking, there's done. Red Mountains went off, and it is just constant. Cellatrix is going off again. Red Mountain is again. Let's cast Cloak again. Endless Hell. So as you can see, it is Red Mountain. Now the crows should be going off here soon. There's Cellatrix. Here comes the crows. Probably here in about 2 seconds, I think. Alright. Looks like they're not. Oh yeah, I was on the bow bar. That's why. My fault. But yeah, so Red Mountain procs all the time. There goes the crows again. Cellatrix is just constantly procking. As you can see, we're on the trap down. Just keep this up. So this stuff procs a lot. There is no doubt about it. It is constantly procking, and it is constant damage. That's why I have been really enjoying these sets. Now you can also run. To replace Unfathomable Darkness, you can run More Colden. It is really similar. It's max stam, recovery, your weapon damage. But when you deal damage with a light or heavy attack, you have a 10% chance to summon an animate weapon to attack your enemies for 15 seconds. The animated weapon's basic attack deals 4.4 physical damage. Now, it does heavy attack to it every so often, but it's essentially the same thing. There is no cooldown to this. Just after 15 seconds, it goes away, and then it comes back. And because it's a Nightblade, we won't use Relentless Focus. We're weaving in light and heavy attacks. Definitely keep this. Have this on. And I would definitely recommend having this all on the body, because you want 5 pieces of that you want that to proc. You could also run Defiler with Red Mountain, but I do essentially recommend Red Mountain being the main set of this, and then Unfathomable, Defiler, or More Cold. You can replace those 3 sets, mix and change those. Cellatrix, you could run a Stormfist if you wanted to, but I like to stun with Cellatrix. So that is just an easy build that takes no trial sets, no VMA weapons, no DSA weapons, and as I will wait. I should be posting I'm working on another build for another character, and that should be going up in the next week or so. Until then, thank you for watching the videos, and subscribe. I will see you next time.